What's going on, people? So I got a handful of shoes to talk about today, so it's going to be somewhat of a long morning, at least for me. Probably not for you. You may not even watch any of these. Who knows? Then again, if you're not watching these, you wouldn't even hear that. So who am I talking to right now? So here's the thing, right? Side of the box down there. I'm going to get into this real quick. So you may be looking at this and thinking like, that box seems a little weird. And if you saw the unboxing whenever that happened, which seems like forever ago, you remember that this is just like a plain box, right? It's like the kind of box that you can mail this stuff back in. That's why it says all that stuff in there somewhere. Got like the little tape and whatnot, right? Yeah, so not really thrilled about this. It's a fine quality box, you know, it'll come back together all nice and neat, sure. But I don't know, I just kind of prefer like the normal things, you know? And obviously these are all four of these are different, sure, but usually like one or two or four are kind of like the normals, right? So when I'm stacking these with the other boxes, hopefully they stand up pretty well over time, right? Because I do keep my shoes in the boxes. Whatever, let's go ahead and move on into the review, talk about some stuff, move on, because like I said, got a few of these things to get through today. This right here is the Nike ZoomX Invincible 3 in the Sanddrift colorway. Is there more in that? Yeah, ZoomX Invincible Run Flyknit 3. I felt like I was missing some words, but these names, man, they're crazy. Either way, let's go ahead and jump into it and all that good stuff. We're going to start with the bottom. Down there, what are you looking at? Standard outsole stuff, nothing that's going to stand out a whole lot, but it's built for functionality and whatnot, so the plainness of it, I'll overlook that. And you got some little speckles down in there, which is kind of a nice little touch, right? Now anyways, we're going to move on past that. Talk about this here midsole for a second here. There's a whole lot going on there, right? It's very thick indeed. But otherwise, not a whole lot happening, right? Standard colors and stuff. There's nothing that's really popping out or anything like that, which is fine. Real quick though, before we move on the inside here, that's where you do have the ZoomX label and whatnot. It's in a weird color, you know, it's kind of like matches up with like the rest of the midsole there. So it's not the easiest thing to see or whatever, but it is down there. So there you go. Now I'll get you another picture or two in here real quick so you can kind of see these from that higher angle. Start getting your mind wrapped around how you want to feel about these. And I will say this, I get that this colorway may not be jumping right out there at you, but they do have a handful of them. This is just to kind of give you an idea of what you think of the model, I guess, more so than anything, right? But treat these reviews however you want to treat them. It doesn't really matter to me. Now, we're going to move on, jump into some things here. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because these are fairly old and I don't think there's a whole lot of reason to just dig too deeply into them, right? So, starting around here, toe box area, right? What you're noticing, and it's going to be the same everywhere. I just say toe box because I'm used to it. It's going to be a Flyknit sort of material, right? So you got that whole thing all throughout. One thing that's kind of weird, it does have this weird little plasticky overlay type of thing going on with it. Kind of reminds me of the, what was that, like the Moon Mist or MX Mist Easy 350? That whole series they did, it felt like very weird. This has that same sort of thing going on. And then you move back a little bit, you got a blue swoosh and all that stuff, nothing fancy about it. Some more ZoomX logos on the back end there. On the very back though, you do have a 3M strap here, like, you know, a little pull tab thing on the back, so that's always a nice touch, I suppose. But otherwise, it's nothing too great. And then moving on past that though, like down below it, you may have noticed, possibly from some of the other pictures, that this little blue bar that goes around here, like around where the heel cup would be, it's got a lot of text happening in there, right? So it says a bunch of stuff. Put some pictures in there so you can see what that's all about. Switching back over to the front, lace-wise, nothing crazy going on there. I mean, I like them, you know, but again, they're not like 3M or anything fancy like that, just standard white and blue. Behind that, on the tongue, you're gonna have a little bit more of what you had on the rest of the upper, up until about the midpoint. Then it switches into like just normal feeling material, right? Which I do prefer. And they hold on to that all the way up to the top where he has like the Invincible Run, whatever, 3. And moving on past that, looking at the inside. On the inside, not a whole lot happening on there, but it does feel pretty good. Speaking of the inside though, up here around this top of the sock liner, one thing that you might have noticed is it's a similar build to the Kayano 31 or the Nimbus 25 and probably the Nimbus 26 as well. And then you have like a cushiony sock liner, but then at the top you got this extra material kind of where it leads into the pull tab on the back. So there is that. Feels pretty nice around the feet though, so whatever. One quick thing about the inside, right? You probably guessed that it's just going to be standard blue in there, right? And I get it. But one thing that they did do is if you look at each one on there, they have some different inscriptions. I forget what this goes with or whatever, but I'll just put the pictures in there and then maybe you can tell me what it goes with, because either I read it and forgot or I never looked into it and just didn't know from the start. But I can tell you this, in this moment, I have no idea. And maybe had I read it for myself right now, I'd know, but I didn't, and I won't. So anyways, I think that covers everything as far as the looks go, right? Just wanted to breeze through that. So now we're going to jump on into the personal thoughts piece. And I might say a thing or two that I've overlooked, but whatever. Personally, these right here, I am not a huge fan of this colorway, to be completely honest. It was the cheapest one, which kind of made it the best one. And so that's the one that I now have, right? The other colors, not even that great either. So I'm not going to go back more than likely unless these work out great for me. I'm probably just going to end up with this one. But just know, sales are coming. That's the point of that piece. Now, as far as like this shoe, like construction wise and everything, as far as a running shoe goes, things are looking pretty good, man. Like I like what they did here. It does feel a little weird to the touch, but I'll overlook that. The big midsole thing, again, I'm not a huge fan for functionality reasons. I totally get it. It's just the aesthetic to me is not preferred, right? So when I look at like the Pegasus that you'll see in a moment here, something like that has a little bit of a lower profile, I kind of prefer that. But again, they do offer a lot of cushion down in here with the ZoomX. It is very nice, but I'll get more into that in a second. But overall, these shoes right here coming in at $180, I will say so far they seem like they might be worth it, kind of, but I'd wait for the sales still, because again, why pay $180 when you can only pay like, I think I paid like $100 for these, right? So it just makes sense to me, especially since they've been out for a while. I feel like maybe like a new version should be coming around relatively soon, so hopefully that helps get them a little cheaper as well. But whatever, I'm cool with them as they are. Just would have preferred like, you know, I don't know, some kind of other color. This one isn't bad, but just saying. So anyways, let's talk about some sizing, because that's a thing that I haven't talked about yet, and that's how I know that this video can end and I can move on to the next one. Sizing wise, I bought these in a 9.5 because I have a 9.5 size foot. It's just what works out for me, right? And these are fitting exactly as I expected to. Now, one thing I will add on to that, I wore these with just the standard Hanes socks I buy off the shelf at Walmart. Not bad, right? Fine. But they do feel better when wearing them with like actual like compression running socks or whatever, because they are running shoes. So that's what I would be wearing them with anyways. So just want to put that out there. But still, the true to size thing should work out for most people. And you'll notice it is kind of like wider in the front area, right? But that's mostly just for stability. So you should have a decent amount of room in there, but try them on at a store or something. Now, past that, walking around in these, right? They are very comfortable, and I can see why a lot of people would like these. Even past a running shoe, just for casual wear, I could totally understand that. Personally, though, not the biggest fan, because all that extra cushion in the back, it does kind of make for like a somewhat bouncy, squishy feel. And I'm not a big fan of it personally, but I can't talk down on it. They feel like they're going to be really good when I get these out running, and I might break these out tomorrow. I don't know, I have a 5K on Sunday, so I don't really want to run on the Saturday, but we'll see what happens. So they're feeling like they should be really nice though once you get them on the track with like that ZoomX stuff down in there. So you got that happening. But, and past that, down on the bottom, of course, you know, there's nothing crazy going on down there, so standard traction, whatever. It's nothing that's going to affect how the rest of the shoe feels. And then the one big thing, obviously, being since this is a Flyknit upper and this is a running shoe, they are going to be very lightweight, and that also translates into them being super breathable, which is also a good thing, right? So all in all, this experience is looking like it's going to be pretty good once I put them to the test, which again, could be tomorrow. we'll see what happens. But anyways, I don't think I missed anything. If I did, whatever, I usually fix it in post or something. So I'm just going to say that everything went fine and I covered all the details, which means from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, wherever you are. Got 3 more of these things to knock out, so I'm going to go ahead and knock them on out. Later, people.